Guerilla Podcast Syndicate production. Each of us runs a different pace in life.
As a millennial or someone coming of age into adulthood, it's just a lot of things to process. And a lot of things that you want can't happen now because a lot of things are
In love, friendships, and our own self-worth. As we embark on these journeys, we hold the hope to learn a little more each day.
why can't I have whatever they have? And oftentimes I find myself comparing my progress, comparing what I have with other people, even like in the slyest way. It seems like it's a
As we survive and strive to be stronger.
you are really sure and aware of your being as a person and your truth, your core, your everything. Anything that you put out on the table won't be used against you.
So I'd like to welcome you all to love, growth, and freedom.
The different kinds of love that we could see in this world, and on the idea of how love is crazy and how love has different meanings for all of us.
A podcast that believes in love, inspires growth, and advocates freedom. Let me be your friend, your guide, as we all ride the crazy adventure called life. Powered by Guerilla Podcast Syndicate.
Hi, welcome back, lovies, to another episode of Love, Growth, and Freedom with Adrian Duarte. I know the past 2 weeks we've been talking about setbacks and what are setbacks. We defined what setbacks are, we discussed what setbacks could be and how it could lead us to a better part of ourselves in the future, and that setbacks are not purely failures, but they are some reminders that we as humans have to improve on a lot of things and grow. The second episode talked about how do we improve on these setbacks? How do we pinpoint the things that we have to work on ourselves so that we can get over this, so that we can move forward with that version and part of our lives. Now, on the third episode, which is this episode you're listening to, is about patience. Patience with yourself, patience with the people around you, patience with your growth, and generally just understanding that what you're going through, that setback that you're figuring out, and the things that you're trying to improve on, is a process, and that we have to trust that process. Okay? So, to begin the episode, let's discuss what patience is. Patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. So, patience, the reason why I wanted to put patience is whenever we experience a setback, I'm more often than not, what I do is I actually get mad at myself for not being able to see what happens or where I went wrong, how could I have done better, and I'd actually blame myself and be impatient and upset. And that also translates with a lot of the people around me. If I experience some setback and I can't process it in the moment, and then I blame it on other people, and then I sprack. So that's a process that I'm working on myself as well. But the reason why we wanted to discuss this is that because you can explode at any moment in your life, and sometimes you'll regret that moment. Most of the time, actually, you'll regret the moment that you've exploded and reacted badly towards people because of the setbacks that you have been experiencing as a person. So I want to discuss that being patient with yourself will also translate being patient around the people around, being patient to the people around you. You'll be more patient, you'll be more caring and compassionate towards yourself than around others. It will translate to that beauty of being able to understand that you as a person are having trouble with this, so will other people. So the objective of the episode today is to have a patient heart and mind through the process we're going through. Life isn't linear, unlike how the society tells us it is. Progress is different for everybody, and also setbacks. Knowing this and accepting that we'll always be different gives us a fresher perspective when it comes to being patient and compassionate towards ourselves as we go through our setbacks. Because the reason why also we choose to have patience on ourselves, that we are the worst critics when it comes to ourselves. We are the worst people to judge ourselves. We will always put ourselves down because we think that we're not doing so good on this one, because we expect so highly of ourselves each and every time. It's not your fault because society also put a lot of expectations on each and every one of us. Even our lives. They think that our lives just go from one level going up. But that's not the case. Society is so fluid and flexible that your version of success is different from their version of success. And my end, it's also different. And happiness and all that, and what makes your life meaningful and have purpose, they're all very different, down to the root core of everything. So, being patient with yourself as you go through the process of learning, growing, and overcoming setbacks, you have to be patient. You have to have that mindset where you are allowed to make a mistake without getting mad at yourself. Excuse me. Without getting mad at yourself for not being able to succeed in that first step in a certain amount of days. You have to know that the process will take a while before you get to that refined point in your life. So, why is it important to develop a spirit of patience towards yourself in moments of setback? We judge ourselves based on our own standards of success, and we are flawed and shaped by the society without factoring in what really goes on, without everyone factoring what really goes on within the detail, what's in and out of our control, and it's not a one size fits all. It's okay to keep pushing ourselves for the better, but being so damn hard on ourselves and judging ourselves with someone else's score sheet could be very harmful. You are working on it, and that's what matters. So I have had moments where I compared myself to the progress of others. This was a very toxic moment in my life. I used to be with someone, and then I remember comparing myself constantly with other people, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's at this age and he has achieved so much. I'm at that age and I have achieved nothing. I keep comparing myself to the score sheets of others and how the society tells me to be perfect, how the society tells me to grow, and I felt like a failure through all of this. Then I try to develop a spirit of patience, understanding that we all have our own pace. As you see that in every page of self-love that you see now, they teach you how to know that you have your own path to walk, and it's not everybody else's path at the same time, and that you guys have different standards and levels of success. And for you, this may not be successful, and for others, this is what success looks like for them. So you have to develop a spirit of patience, because when you don't, you're just going to keep pushing yourselves hard enough until you break down and just give up totally on your dream because you don't see the results that you are looking after. And these results that you're trying to chase after is made by a flawed society. And it's made by a very, very wicked sense of what success should be like. Okay, so yeah, we discussed that it's okay to keep pushing ourselves, but to a certain point that you are working on, understand that you are working on it, and your score sheet is quite different. It will be always different from everyone that you are going along the way. His race is different from yours. It's like swimming, actually. This is what swimming feels like. I used to be a swimmer back in high school, and they say when you race with people in swimming, it seems like you're racing with other people, but you're only racing against yourself. The best time that you could have in that pool is, the enemy that you have is yourself. The best time that you can provide when you swim that lap is the most important one. So you're actually just in a race with yourself. So that's how life is. Life is in that everybody seems to be like racing you, but they're not. They're just trying to beat and be the better versions of that time or themselves in that moment. That's why they work hard in it. That's why we're working on setbacks, because this is our training in life. Going through those setbacks, overcoming them, and being able to just improve on the things that we need to improve on. And this is how our athleisure in life just works. So stop comparing. We have to study, or we have to understand to be patient towards ourselves, because we constantly compare ourselves to the progress of others and how they overcome their setbacks. And it doesn't help whenever we do that, because we compare so much different things. We compare the unique way of doing things, the unique way of this, their own thought. It may be similar at some point. Your processes may be similar at some point, but it's not entirely the same. So each of us has our own way of dealing with things. You should be more focused on how far you've come from the person you used to be rather than how far the person was that from. So if like given an example, if you guys are all working together, if you are all, for example, swimmers, and you all started at the same time, not all of you will have the same speed and capabilities as the other. One will be good at this stroke, one will be good at this one will be good at this one. But you're all going to be training to be the best versions of each and everything that you are actually determined to be. And that is completely different from who you are and how they are going to be as well. So celebrate every little progress you've made from your previous self. That's one of the best things that we could do and combat and be patient with ourselves, because we're going to see that there's a goal that we have for ourselves. There's a goal that who we want to become. We want to become this successful, wonderful person that contributes to this world. That's fine. That's great. That's our goal. But know that there are going to be setbacks. You're going to be a bad person at a certain point. You're going to be someone who's toxic. You're going to be like that. Understand that that will happen, because life and learning is also the same thing. So it's not really the same thing, but it's also like a thing that goes in together, that life and learning will never end until you just stop living. But learning, you will always learn to become a new version of yourself. New studies, new things, new etiquettes will arise to define a good person, and you're gonna have to learn that all the freaking time. So you have to celebrate how far you've come rather than celebrate how far you are from others. You have to celebrate how far you've come from your past self, because that's what matters. Their opinions may have a little sting on you. But if you know that you've improved greatly from who you were before, you were misogynistic and make rape jokes before, and now you're not. You champion for women, you champion for people who are abused, you champion for people who needs your help. Well, then that's a big character development, and you should be proud of that. And people will see that huge development, but they would not know the struggles that you went through to understand those little progress that you made within yourself before getting to that point. They wouldn't see that, but only you. So you get to celebrate that. You should. You have every right to celebrate that progress that you've made. So being patient with yourself takes time and practice. It takes a lot of toll on you when hating ourselves is so easy. Hating ourselves, blaming ourselves for everything that has happened to us, it's so easy. Blaming other people, way easy. Telling the world that it's the world's fault, that's why I grew up like this. It's the world's fault, that's why I'm like this. It's easy. So easy to do that. I swear, it's so easy to do that. But it's not always the case. You can't blame everything to the world and circumstances. You can't blame everything on yourself. You can't just always be so hard on yourself and say you're not doing your best part, because that's going to destroy you. It's not always the case. Sometimes it's a mix of all these factors, and all you can do is just take in what you can control and change and work on it, and little by little make a system for you that works. A system for you that gets to understand the world in your perspective and how you grow from it. So working on your setbacks and the things that you somehow need to improve on takes time and effort. So we were talking about working on those little things that we have to overcome those setbacks. So improving. You have to know that these things that you're going to do to improve that is going to take time. It's going to take practice. It's not an overnight thing. You're not going to wake up one day and say, okay, I'm a very socially aware and responsible person now. No, you're going to start with the basics. You're going to have to define a lot of things, a lot of boundaries that will test you and your integrity to follow that principle. Also, same thing with faith. If you develop your faith in God, you would take in a lot of situations where the Lord will test you and tempt you to make a mistake and commit a sin, and that would damage your faith at a certain point. And what you have to understand, that that's always going to be a case. The world will always test you. But on how you get up from that setback is what will define you as a person. How you get over it, how you improve yourself, how you change will determine you how you become as a person in the near future. You identify what you need to work on, which was discussed in the previous episode. We discussed that. And knowing that you where to improve on already will help you find a very good way to start a system of improvement for you, starting with the little things and the basics. So the next thing that we do on that, when you've already understood what you have to work on, then is you have to make a plan of action, how you'll work on it, and that will be discussed on the next episode. But I just want to start you up with understanding that the patience comes along. You have to trust the process. You have to understand that it is a process. Okay? All right, that's great. So before we continue, thank you so much for listening to me, and to all those who's been listening to my podcast. There was an immense growth in my podcast listens, and I'm just so grateful to all of you. And I've been hearing messages that it helped you and all that. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for listening to me. Sometimes I think I just ramble on and all the like, but I'm just so glad that it has helped a lot of people along the way. So yeah, with that, I'd like to take a minute break, and we'll see you again in a while, lovies.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the show.
Okay, welcome back, lovies, to the third episode of this season. Okay, welcome back, lovies. This is AD here on Love, Growth, and Freedom with Adrian Duarte. So, we were talking about how can you be patient with yourselves? How do we've understood that there's going to be a process, that's a long process that you're going to deal with. And the fundamental truths about life is that there are a lot of things not in our control and different versions of success and all the likes. So in the previous part of this episode, that was the definition of how can we, or the things that we have to understand in being patient with ourselves. So here are ways that we can actually be patient with ourselves as we go through our journey of improvement. Here are some ways we could practice the spirit of patience upon ourselves. Remind ourselves that it is a normal part of life. Setbacks lead us to a better place. It's a platform of our comeback. It's the chance for us to learn from shortcomings and bounce back stronger than ever. So, gently reminding yourself that the setbacks that you're facing are an opportunity. An opportunity to learn and grow. An opportunity for you to improve. An opportunity for you to show the world that even if you had these shortcomings during those times, that's not going to stop you from being the best of the best version of yourself. Okay, remind yourself that it's normal. And life is going to be boring if everything's just going up. If you know what I mean, life is just going to be meaningless if you're not going to undergo challenges, if you're not going to improve, it's not going to grow. If you're just going to stay in one place and one path, life will be meaningless and will be hard to actually live. And you'd always be questioning yourselves of what you could be and what you should be and all the like. So, reminding ourselves that setbacks are normal, setbacks are something that we're going to experience each and every day of our lives, will give you this sense of, okay, wait, it's okay. It's really just okay that I'm going to face this, and whatever I do with these setbacks, whatever I work on with these setbacks is going to define a part of me, a part of my being, and show the authentic, genuine side I could be after this. And it's okay. That's a reminder. So look yourself in the mirror and say that these are normal. Challenges are normal. And one of the things that actually helped me going through whenever we experience setbacks, not failures, setbacks, challenges in our lives, we always say, why do bad things always happen to us? We be like, why couldn't it just be good all the time? Why can't it just be sunny? Why can't it be just whatever? It will always ask that. But one quote that I actually stood by for a long time: God doesn't give his weakest, or God gives his hardest challenges to his strongest warriors. So you think like you're going through a lot, like if you watch Meredith If you watch Grey's Anatomy, Meredith has been through a lot of crap. And if you feel like you're a Meredith going through all that, you are God's strongest warriors. It means that He knows what you are capable of. And if you're not religious, the universe knows what you're capable of. The universe tells you the things that you can handle and shows up to you. And it's your choice to show up and beat that crap. Okay. And a reminder that you guys are badass. You can do this. Whatever you're facing, you're going to get over it for sure. Everybody does. Only those who don't choose to get over it are the ones who doesn't get over it. Okay? As long as you try, as long as you do it, as long as you walk towards that, you're going to be able to do it. Okay? The only time you ever fail is when you quit. Self-reflection. Another thing that you can also do with reminding yourself being patient as you go through this journey is self-reflection. Note down the things that you are working on and reflect on it each day to see progress and how it's going for you. So write it down. Write down what you want to achieve, what you want to improve on, and have a plan of action, how you're going to do it. Like, what is it? We're going to discuss that further on the next episode. But this is what, like, how are you going to get to that? How are you going to, like, stitch that? What are the things that you are working on? And what are you expecting to get out of that after? And then write it down each day if you're feeling like you're not, or you can just do this whenever you're feeling down and like impatient with yourself. Write it down. See how far you've come from point A, from point B to point C to point everything, and you'd realize that the habits that you've been building is working. For example, I started this year. I don't have a habit of reading, and that's always been a setback and a challenge for me because reading is so boring sometimes. And what I did was I got a few books and I vowed myself to read a book, like read a part of the book every morning and every night. So apparently I lost that. I developed that habit for like a while and then I lost it again. And now I'm back at it. It's been like a week or so that I am able to constantly and consistently read a book and then put it down and then write down my thoughts again. It's good. I've written down how much of the times that I've failed again on that and then rose back up. And I've seen that I've understood the value of reading now. I understood. So from all those failures, not fails, from all those setbacks on reading, I've realized the thing that I got from those setbacks and the habit that I've always been building about reading is that I now know the value of reading and what it has brought me and how it exercises my mind. And now I enjoy it actually. I enjoy it, I do it, and I feel a little, what do you call, not guilty, but I feel a little unfulfilled when I don't get to read the book on a day because it's like I haven't learned something. So like that's one. So you reflect on that. You reflect on the little things that you're working on. Because what I did with myself is I wrote it down. I like, okay, I read a book today. I read my book again. I did this again. I woke up at this again. I was able to continue my routine again. And it was just so good. I just felt like I had a little control over the life that I'm living, even if it's just in the mundane things that I do. Because again, though I'm prepared that life will be unexpected or a lot of things that's going to happen is unexpected, but I at least have a little thing that I can do. I can just control in my own little space, and that's it. Celebrate your small progress is another tip because small progress is still progress. Celebrate your wins, your small wins, the wins that nobody saw, nobody sees, nobody hears about. You know what I mean? Only you get to celebrate that. And the people out there, up there, the people who's there showing you what they can do, even me, other people, they're all not perfect. And what a lot of people see outside is a facade. Whatever that people see right now in front of you are that person who survived a lot of battles that not everyone can see. That battle that you faced, that battle with depression, that battle with demotivation, that battle with bullying, and a lot of other stuff, they don't see that. What they see is the one who won those battles, is the one who emerged victorious in those inner battles. And don't be fooled by that. Don't be fooled that everybody has their life together, because they don't. And they also, and one of the secret things that they do is they celebrate their small wins. Because these small wins and these small progress that you do, somebody said in my comments, I would give a shout out to Benj. Benj, if you're listening to my podcast, you're amazing. He commented that if you improve 1% each and every day of your life for a year, just 1%, you get 367% of improvement, or 367, 365, because that's 365 days. So, me, but 365 days. So that's 365% of improvement of who you are if you start allocating 1% of your energy to improve yourself. That's how small wins are big. They grow big. They are exponential. The more that you stack them, the more that you see that you've come so far from who you were before. Lastly, know that you are not alone. And working on yourself is already a great enough feat. It's harder than everybody thinks it is. Like, it's hard. The moment that you started to decide to work on yourself is already a win. The moment that you've decided to improve is a win. Okay, think about that. You are aware of the things that you have to improve on. Now, doing it, working on it, you have done a big step that not everybody can do so easily. So just ponder that. Whenever that you're feeling so hard on yourself, harsh on yourself for the things that's going on in your life, think about that. Because you've already done so much on it. So that ends our episode 3. Wow, I never thought that we'd reach this kind of length at the moment. Thank you so much for all of you who's listened to me. If you guys want to support me, send me some lovin' on Fresh FM Adrian on TikTok and Instagram, and also on Twitter. You could listen to me on freshfmph.com if you want to join me on my DJ journey. And I just want to send some loving to all of you, to all those who took the time to listen, and to all those followers that I have on TikTok. Thank you so much for listening. I am sending you some love, and I hope this helps. And if you guys have any more questions, if you guys have anything you want to say, send me a message on my Instagram and my TikTok so that I can be able to just reply and interact with you, and comment on my videos. I'd probably reply with a video too if I could. So if you guys have a specific advice that you want to hear, please do send them that way. So thank you so much. And this has been Adrian. This has been great. This is Love, Growth, and Freedom with Adrian Duarte, signing off. I'll see you again on our next episode. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And if you want to know more, check out www.guerillapodcast.com.au or guerillapodcast.com.ph. A Guerilla Podcast Syndicate production.